The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
It's the path to Paris. Join Track Wrestling Shane Sparks as he talks to members of Team USA as they prepare for the 2017 World Wrestling Championships in Paris, France. Now, here's your host, Shane Sparks.
And welcome to Track Wrestling. This is the Path to Paris. I'm Shane Sparks, edging closer to the 2017 World Championships, now just 3 weeks away now. And, of course, on TrackWrestling.com, live coverage of the video streams. That begins on August 21st from Paris, France. Track Wrestling proud to have partnered with Titan Mercury Wrestling Club, offering a special $9.99 promotional price for that live stream of the entire tournament. You also get all the archived videos. And now looking forward to that. I'll be in Paris along with Andy Hamilton. Stories, interviews, extensive coverage. And again, be sure to follow TrackWrestling.com. Today I bring in a first-time World Team member, of course known for a great career at the University of Iowa, an All-American. Picked up a Big Ten title in Bloomington this past March. Now it's a new chapter for Thomas Gilman. Thomas, a pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Doing fantastic. Glad to have you. Where are you at today, Thomas? You in Iowa City?
I am in Iowa City. Yes, sir.
So you make the World Team, Thomas, about 2 months ago. It's been a crazy ride for you these past few months, but what's it been like for you these past several weeks in preparation for Paris?
Honestly, it hasn't been too crazy. Just getting back into town here in Iowa City from Spain and just getting back to training. Just keeping it simple. Not trying to think too much about what lies ahead in Paris and the World Championships. Just focused on getting better every day in my techniques, my mentality, and my conditioning and strength. So that's about all I've been up to.
You speak about your mentality, Thomas, and one thing I will always remember about you is, in doing several interviews, you talk about psychological warfare. Where did that originate?
I'm not sure exactly for me personally where it originated. I just remember hearing about it and talking about it with Terry Brands, and just kind of how the way you wrestle and the way you hold yourself can really influence your opponent physically, when you're wrestling, but also mentally. You don't have to wrestle a guy to necessarily break him. You can look at the results and the way you whip up on some other guys, and that can weigh on a guy psychologically. Yeah.
What kind of things do you do, Thomas, especially being at the high level that you're at, when it comes to sharpening your mindset, sharpening your mental approach? What do you do?
It's a good question. I'm not sure how to exactly answer that. There's so much stuff that you do day in, day out, but just to keep it simple, I guess, just believing in your training every day, as cliche as that is, just trying to get better in your training and your techniques and your conditioning and strength, like I was saying, but also practicing things mentally, not just techniques, but also your frame of mind, working on that. Not getting frustrated, putting yourself in positions where maybe you've been frustrated before, you potentially can be frustrated, and just staying calm and composed and sharpen your mind that way. A lot of self-reflection, being very honest with yourself as far as, where you need to get better, where you're good, and where we need to continue to work.
Give us an idea, Thomas, if you could, what a typical day is like for you around this time, 3 weeks out. What's a day like for you? What do you do?
Typical day, getting up early, getting into Carver, getting my body going, whatever that means on that day, whether it's, lifting weights and doing a little bit of conditioning or some drilling, or even just a little bit of sauna and shower and getting out. And on days where I'm getting on the mat in the afternoon, I'm coming in about 3 o'clock, getting on the mat, getting warmed up, getting ready to go hard, wrestling hard. live goals, live matches, situations, stuff like that. In between that time, just about everything's geared towards getting ready for that next workout, that next challenge, the next test. So coming back to my house, recouping, getting some good nutrition, hydration in me, kicking my feet up, getting off my feet, relaxing, maybe taking a nap. I'm kind of into taking naps. Maybe watching a little bit of film, sharpen my mind, just mentally kind of going through things that I worked on during the morning or that I need to work on in the afternoon, just kind of mentally preparing myself for that workout.
What aspects of your training have you most enjoyed?
Just getting better every day. I think since the Nationals, I did a lot of work mentally, trying to get my head right and figure out, where I'm at in my life as far as wrestling and what I need to accomplish. And ever since then, I can honestly say I've gotten a little bit better every day, whether it's in my techniques or my mindset or my strength or conditioning. And that's what I enjoy the most, is just watching those little things add up. You're not going to notice it every single day. You're not going to notice that you're getting better every day, but you got to believe in yourself and just know that those little things that you're putting together are going to be big things. And then, looking back after a week or a month or however long and seeing those little things add up and realizing that you are getting better every day. I mean, I really enjoy that.
Going back, Thomas, to St. Louis in March, I know that's water under the bridge. I know the message I always hear from Tom Brands, I think he says at every interview, is we move forward here. I know that's important. That's got to be where you're at. But if we could, going back to March, I remember being on that mat, calling that semifinal match. And what I remember was when you came off, you looked almost like a deer in the headlights, like you were shocked, like you couldn't believe what had just happened. Take us back to that night, your feeling coming off the mat, and how that conversation started with the coaching staff after such a disappointing defeat.
Well, I don't know. I really don't remember what I was thinking necessarily or feeling, and there's a good reason for that. The one thing I do remember, though, is that there's still work to be done. Whether I won that match or I lost that match, which I did, there's still work to be done. There was, still either one match to wrestle or two, in my case, two. So, and even before that, I had some weight that needed to be taken care of for the weigh-in the next day. So really it was just back to work. Tom Brands always said it's easier to move forward with success, but if you don't have success, you still got to move forward. So what? So I got my weight taken care of. That was the first thing. Got some nutrition in me. I woke up the next morning, the sun came up, and you know what? Thank God for another day. It was back to work. Then you can deal with the emotions or the heartbreak, however you want to call it, when the work's done. So I think I was more just numb and just realizing that, the work's not done. Can't feel sorry for myself yet. Was about the only thing going through my head. There's a long ways to come back.
When you look at all that's invested, years and years of wrestling, of course, you've been in Iowa City for, I think it's 5 years with that redshirt season. You get great relationships. It goes far beyond the wrestling with your coaching staff. They know what you have invested. What's it like after, like I said, that match? What do Tom and Terry say to you? And what was something they said that you'll always remember from that night that'll help you moving forward?
I don't think there wasn't really anything that was said, and there's nothing that needs to be said. When you have a relationship like that, like you said, that's been building for 5 years, really 5+ years if you include the recruiting. There's nothing that needs to be said. Everyone, they know how I'm feeling, how I felt. They know what I needed to do. If anything, the nonverbal message was, all right, now suck it up. There's still work to be done. There's no time to feel sorry for yourself. But, there's not, I mean, I don't think our program is the kind of program that, uses hoorah, let's do this kind of pump up mentality, pep talks. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I'm definitely not the kind of guy that needs a pat on the back and a slap on the butt saying, hey, you got this. I knew what my job was coming off that mat. And so, yeah, when you have a strong relationship like I do with my coaching staff, there's not a lot that needs to be said.
You turn the page, of course, from that. Last chance qualifier, you're down 5-6-0. You rally back. You win that. You get to the World Team Trials. It was an incredible day in the mini tournaments. And then, of course, you knock off the reigning World Team member in Tony Ramos. What are you most impressed with, Thomas? I know you're a humble guy, but what are you most impressed with in accomplishing that feat and looking back on it? What was the thing or two when you can say, man, I had this particular aspect working for me and it paid high dividends?
I'm just going to be a little not so humble here for a second. Tony Ramos was not the returning World Team member. Daniel Dennis was a returning Olympic team member. So let's just clarify that just a little bit.
Sure, exactly.
Rude or arrogant, but I am not going to give Tony Ramos any more credit than he gives himself. I've been pretty nice as far as talking to him, but let's not give him any more credit than he already gives himself. So,
but he's a tough opponent to beat. I mean, that's still a tough guy to beat. I mean, I'm going to give you a lot of credit here. That was a great day of wrestling for you. That was pretty impressive. I was impressed.
Yeah, I mean, every one of those opponents was tough to beat. But you know what? I went just kind of like I was talking about earlier. I had a job to do, and that job was to make that world team and doing it in a fashion that's dominant. Did I do it in a dominant fashion? Not to the point where I would have liked, but you know what? That's our mentality here. There's always room to improve. But it felt good. I think. Yeah, I know it felt good, but it's just like it's a stepping stone. It's not nothing to hang your hat on. Even though I had some good wins, it felt good to get that maybe out of the way and start focusing on and worrying about the World Championships like where we're at right now.
Thomas Gilman joining us here on the Path to Paris, TrackWrestling.com World Championships. They'll be live streamed here on TrackWrestling.com. $9.99 promotional price. Track Wrestling partnering with Titan Mercury Wrestling Club. Go to TrackWrestling.com and get your subscription for that. Thomas, what have the training camps been like for you? How have those been? Give us an insight to what that's like.
Training camp has been good. We've only had one. There's one going on right now, and I will be going out to that on Sunday. And I look forward to that, and I know that's going to be great as well. Just being around, some of the guys on the team has been good for me, getting to know them a little bit. Their ins and outs, their little quirks. It has been interesting and fun, getting to know those guys. Not one negative thing comes to mind when think about our team or any one of those individuals. I really click with them and get along with them well. So I'm really excited to get out to camp and then get to Germany and then Paris and then compete alongside them and bring home some gold medals with them.
Who do you train with primarily, Thomas, at the camps?
At the camps, whoever's there. I mean, there's a lot of guys there that are high level guys that are good partners. But when we were overseas, maybe to narrow it down a little bit, there's only we only took 7 guys, so there's only so many guys around my weight since I'm the little guy. But I worked out with Stever a lot, and then also Rutherford. So, 2 really good partners.
And what kind of coaching, influences do you have? I know you're with Terry and Tom, obviously, but who are some of the different guys from a coaching aspect that you've been able to lean on a little bit?
Obviously, head coach with Bill Zadig. He's always, giving little advices and stuff like this here and there. Actually, in Spain, me and Terry worked quite a bit with Sammy Henson one day, just kind of picking his brain and bouncing ideas off him. So that was nice to get a little different point of view, but also he's kind of similar mindset to we are. So that was good.
I like to ask this question. You're obviously first-time world team member, limited experience, at least at this level. So maybe it's too early to ask it, maybe better ask years down the road. But if you could go back, Thomas, 5 to 7 years, and you got some freestyle experience with cadet and junior world teams, but if you went back 5 to 7 years, knowing what you know now, what are a couple of things that you maybe would have altered in your training, perhaps paid more attention to from a freestyle standpoint?
I'm going to give a really boring answer, but I wouldn't change anything. I mean, just think about it. If you change one thing, that could alter your whole life. I am very satisfied with my life and my training up to this point. I think that every single day I went into practice, getting the most out of it. So I don't have any necessarily regrets or things I would change. Some people want to say or think that we should do more freestyle here in the United States, and we are kind of behind the curve because we wrestle folk style, and the rest of the world wrestles freestyle their whole life. But for me and the mentality we have here in Iowa is wrestling is wrestling. It doesn't matter whether you wrestle freestyle, Greco, or folk style. Wrestling is wrestling. So you either got it or you don't. And there are obviously certain techniques and exposures that you can get, but yeah, I going with the boring answer. I wouldn't change a thing.
I know you're a student of the sport. You watch a lot of film. You look at this weight class. Many would say it's very wide open. How do you assess your weight class, Thomas, and anything in particular that has stood out to you in scouting the rest of the field?
Just need to wrestle hard. Wrestle hard from the first whistle to the last whistle, and especially off the whistle. Whether it's the first whistle, beginning the match, the second period, going out of bounds, coming up off a takedown, just being ready for those guys to explode. Because when it's in a flurry, that favors me. But off a start, they're going to try to snag something or catch a lead early. So just being ready to go the whole time and staying intense the whole time, not letting them relax and sneak something in.
With your experiences, Thomas, wrestling overseas, what are a couple of things that you feel you really had to experience to get a true understanding of?
I think the biggest thing is just making weight overseas. Your nutrition and making weight overseas. We're very blessed here in this country that no matter where you go, everything's pretty much the same, or you can get things that are very close, if not the same as, we have here in Iowa City. Besides, our facilities and the little quirks we have. But going overseas, things are different. You have to tweak your nutrition and or bring certain things with you. And then making weight isn't always ideal. Maybe for whatever reason the sauna doesn't work or you can't access the facility. We haven't run into any of those issues yet, but, it's very possible. The language barrier, just stuff like that, I think is the biggest thing, getting out of our comfort zone a little bit. We don't have all our creature comforts when we're overseas, even though it's Western Europe and it's very, very much like the United States. Besides that, getting into the actual wrestling part, just the refs more than anything, being from the United States, we got an eye on us, whether it's on the wrestling mat, on the town or whatever. Everyone's looking up to us, whether they want to admit it or not. And we got to put our best foot forward because they're going to try to not cheat us, but they're might have a little
no favors.
Prejudice. Yeah, no favors, So I don't want to say that they're cheating, but there's a fine line there.
What gives you the most confidence, Thomas? I mean, a lot of guys in your shoes, not everybody, but you hear it quite a bit. I'm going over there to win a world medal and this and that. And, a year or two later, you talk to them and they kind of, maybe sing a little bit of a different song that, I was, looking back on it, I was kind of happy to be there. How do you stay, focused and really motivated to go over there with the highest of expectations, realistic expectations? And what are those in your mind? I know the goal is the world title. Why is it your time?
I think just staying humble, and I think I've done a very good job of that for the most part in my career, and especially since the trials, not getting a big head. Once you get a big head, you get maybe complacent and you're, like you said, happy to be there. But I don't think I've been very happy since the trials, and not that I'm not a happy person. I'm the happiest person around, but happy and satisfied with my wrestling, and that is because I know there's room to grow and there's room to improve, and I prove that to myself every day. Something that gives me confidence, just in my mindset. I know that if I wrestle my match and I wrestle as hard as I can for that 6 minutes or however long it takes, then I'm going to come out on top. And just staying. That's one thing,
Thomas. I think with you is you're a little bit misunderstood. You got a big personality. I've always enjoyed my experience with you. I think you're a lot of fun. But I think, would you agree with that? You're kind of misunderstood from the standpoint of, you speak about the humility.
I don't know if I'm necessarily misunderstood. My opinion is going to be different than someone else's. That they view me however they want to view me, and that's fine with me. If they don't think I'm humble, then I'm not humble. But I think the only opinion that matters to me is my opinion of myself. If I think highly of myself, then that's good, right? If I think lowly of myself, then I don't think that's very good. I'm not going to train very good. I'm not going to perform very good. I'm not going to have very good relationships with my friends and family. But I don't know how misunderstood I am. I think I just don't really care what other people think. If they have an opinion of me, good. I'd rather than have an opinion than have no opinion.
What that talk about your family a little bit, Thomas. Tell us about your family a little bit. Mom and dad, brothers and sisters. Tell me about those guys.
Well, I got a mom, I got a dad, I got a stepdad, I got one brother and one sister. They're both younger. My brother has finished 2 years of college, so he's about 3 years younger than me, and my sister will just finished up her freshman year of high school. Besides that, I got a girlfriend that I'm very steady with, and extended family that there's so much there that we don't got all day. So
let me ask you this. So your brother is in college. Does he wrestle?
He does not.
Okay. And, your dad, obviously, I've met him before. I can only assume that he's played a pretty big role in your wrestling. What's the biggest impact he's had on you?
Probably getting me into wrestling. If he didn't get me into wrestling, then I don't know if I would have or how I would have gotten into wrestling.
How did you get involved in wrestling, Thomas?
I just remember, my dad was a wrestler, so I think it's natural for fathers to get their sons involved in something that they were involved in. So he took me to a practice one time, and we watched, and he was like, "Well, you like this?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we came back the next day, and the rest is history.
How old were you when you started?
I think I was 5 or 6.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
Awesome. Okay. Talking with Thomas Gilman here on Track Wrestling. Thomas, now just going to ask you some kind of rapid fire questions, off, away from wrestling a little bit. Most prized possession outside your family. What's the most prized possession for you?
Most prized possession?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I'm not a very materialistic person. Outside my family, I don't know.
If your place, God forbid, would start on fire, you had to run in and get one thing. Is there anything you'd make sure you grabbed?
My girlfriend and my dog. Our dog.
Okay. What kind of dog you have?
That's about it. We have a German Shepherd.
Okay. Favorite place, Thomas, to hang out in Iowa City?
Cortado. It's a coffee shop.
Your most memorable college match?
Most memorable college match? Probably, hold on. The dog barking. You heard German Shepherd. Probably when we wrestled Oklahoma State in Kinnick. That was pretty crazy. Maybe not the match itself was very memorable, but the atmosphere.
Great event. Great event. Perfect weather. Where do you see yourself, Thomas, in 10 years?
10 years? That's about a long ways from now. I don't know what I'm going to do here in 20 minutes, but definitely that's after Tokyo in 2020. So I have an Olympic gold medal around my neck. Other than that, I'm not sure.
What's the best advice you've ever received? Maybe not even wrestling related.
Don't think too much. You get in trouble thinking.
Cross-country trip, Thomas. You and 3 other people. Cross-country in a vehicle for 3-4 days. Dead or alive, what 3 people are you taking with you on that trip?
3 people.
Yep. Any 3.
I would take my girlfriend, my grandfather, and Teddy Roosevelt.
Why are you going with Teddy?
He's a fascinating character. Read about him. He's amazing.
I know you're a big reader. Last good book that you read?
Last good book I read? It's called The Horse, the Wheel, the Language. It's about the Indo-European language family and how it spread from the steppes of southern Russia into Western Europe and then into India and Iran. And it's very, very nerdy and fascinating, but it's good.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? I'd have to say steak and baked potato.
Favorite movie?
Fury.
Okay, that is a great movie. Great movie. And Thomas, we'll end with this. You mentioned your girlfriend before. Where did you meet her? What's her name? Where did you meet her? And what is it about her that makes you click?
I met her here in Iowa City, freshman year of college. Her name's Melissa, and I don't know. There's a lot of things, but I think most importantly, she keeps me humble and keeps me level, and she's not afraid to let me know that I'm if I'm getting too big for my britches. So I need that once in a while.
One more question for you. What's the most romantic thing you've ever done for Melissa? How much game does Thomas Gilman have?
Oh, man. How much game and romanticism, I think, are two different things.
All you wrestlers, it's, you guys are tough. You got the hunting hat, you hunt and all that stuff. It's, you guys are an interesting breed for sure. And I'm always curious to see you guys, behind the scenes a little bit. So tell us a little bit about Thomas Gilman and how much romance you bring to the table.
Man, putting me on the spot here. This is the hardest question of the day.
Save the best for last.
I don't know.
What did you do for Valentine's Day? What do you do? You got to keep them happy.
You got to keep them happy. Just the little things, I'm not really big into big, extravagant things once in a while. I think every day, doing the little things, whether it's, telling her how much she means to me or how much I love her, and, maybe getting her flowers once in a while and just being there for her when she needs it. None of that's very romantic, but in a long, steady relationship, those are the things that really matter, I think.
I think that's great advice. Thomas. I'm a little bit older than you, but I've always believed with women, it is about the little things. It's kind of like, consistency, like anything else. So I think you knocked it one out of the park. I'm impressed. Well done. Well done.
Now I need to put my money where my mouth is before she hears this interview.
Well, Thomas, I really appreciate the time. It was fun to catch up. I'm excited for you, and I'm really looking forward to watching you in Paris, and should be a lot of fun. You enjoy yourself, and best of luck on the wrestling mat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.